Hey guys, it's Bush, and today in this video, it's going to be something a little bit different from the normal gameplay. It's just going to be a commentary, and I'm just going to be talking about and reading over some information that just dropped. There was an announcement that the CEO of Jagex has been changed, and because I'm a massive RuneScape player and nerd, I want to discuss that with you all. I think this is something really worth discussing, and we're going to go through a news article that I found. I'm going to read it, or at least portions of it, and we're going to do a little bit of research. This is not scripted. This is all off the dome. I'll try to edit it down so it's useful. This doesn't really mean anything. It's a lot of facts mixed with opinions and my conjectures personally as a very dedicated long-term player of the game. So first off, I'm going to start off by giving a shout out to Blue Sky. It is the page that I use a lot. It's similar to Twitter, except for it's not owned by a billionaire, and you don't have to worry about a billionaire buying it and changing it. It's built on the AT protocol. You can do research about that if you care about it, but this is basically what I'm going to be going for the initial link. You can see here that you guys might have already read this as I started off, but these are my thoughts. Who's ready for the new casino game developer, blockchain game advisor, new CEO of Jagex? He totally doesn't have a CV that will ruin RuneScape and OSRS as we know it. Anyone who's ready for the new OSRS bond coin and RS bond coin so we can legally RWT. Bets on the dueling arena returning. These are just like posts like reactionary or whatever. But then, this is pretty interesting, and we'll get into this. You mean to tell me the new CEO of Jagex was on the board of the firm that purchased Jagex, 9 months later was put on the board of Jagex, and then a few months later was put as the CEO of Jagex? This seems like an investment group trying to supplant Jagex's CEO to see if they can recoup their investment. So this probably doesn't mean a lot right now, but let me go back and let me get up this news article. So this is the RuneScape feed for Blue Sky, where you can go in and just see things about RuneScape. And this is what I use when I want to keep up to date with RuneScape players on this platform. So right here, GameFused.com, RuneScape developer Jagex names John Bellamy as the new CEO. Let me put this into context. I don't know this person. I've never talked to this person. What I'm going to be discussing today has nothing to say about his character as an individual. This is just my thoughts based off of the information we have about him and my thoughts about how the game will go. Based off of the development of that. So this is a nice news article. It's written by a gamer, a RuneScape gamer, you can tell. They definitely try to be tongue-in-cheek with referencing the game, but you can also tell that they are very dedicated. I'm not going to read this. If you want to read it, you can at your own time. Sorry about that, phone ringing. But if you want to read this, you can on your own time. Totally up to you. But what I think is the most important is the work history of Jonathan. So it starts off with most recent, but let's go down to the bottom and take a look at this, okay? So if we go all the way down, I think this is a fantastic thing to do when somebody takes over a company, to take a look at their work history, especially to go back to the beginning. So 2014, he was an intern for National Australia Bank, NAB, in London, UK. Cool. This is probably right out of university or at the tail end of the university, got a job working for National Australia Bank. Doesn't really say anything other than this is probably pretty early on in his work history, or as early in his work history that he would have on his CV. CV is another word for resume. Resume is Americanized. CV is more European. All right, now let's go up. He did have a job at Jagex immediately afterward. This gives me some benefits, like some hope. When I saw this, I was like, oh, wow. So you mean to tell me this person was at Jagex for 2 years, a few years ago, knows about the game? Interesting. But we'll get to how my mind changed and why those messages got posted. So he was an analyst for the game. I think M&A is like marketing and acquisition. I'm not too sure. But he was basically over in like non-game development side of the game, but was there moving up from an analyst to a senior analyst to an associate. I hope associate is up from senior analyst. Maybe this was just job title changes overall in a company. And this does not say what he did, just what the game is known for, right? Or what for the company is known for. So we can't really get any information about that. but he was there for 2 years and left in 2018. Cool. He worked at RuneScape or at Jagex in the past, knows about RuneScape. That's beneficial. But now let's look at what he did next. After he left Jagex, he got a job immediately. So there was basically no downtime. He either had this giant job lined up or he got it very quick after. And he went to work for London Venture Partners, which is a venture capitalist firm. Nothing bad about venture capitalists. We're not worried about this, but this just shows that he transitioned from working in game development and the strategy side, maybe marketing and acquisition. I'm not too sure, but non-game development side, and then switched over to venture capitalist. So he's worried about money, and this company in general does corporate development, venture capital, investment management, and early stage investment. That's at least what he listed his skills as, I guess. But that makes sense. All right. Now let's look at what happened after that. After he worked for a venture capitalist, he switched and went to go to work for a company called Huge Games. So after working for venture capitalist and moving back into the gaming industry, let's look at his role here. You can see here from the very beginning in 2019, he worked for strategy and planning, strategy and investment, strategy and investment, strategy investment, just moving up from senior director to vice president to executive vice president, right? Clearly getting raises within this company called Huge Gaming. And this probably had a massive part of his career. 1 year in the first role, 1 year in the second role, 8 months, right? He made it all the way up to the chief commercial officer for Huge Games. And then was there for a total of 4 years and 8 months. Remember, previous company was there for 1 year and Jagex less than 3 years. Now he's there for almost 5 years, right? So this is a big part of his career working in investments for Huge Gaming. What this makes me want to do is look up to see what Huge Games is. Because if Huge Games is a game development company that has a lot of well-known games, that probably means he has a lot of experience in his field and will do a good job with Jagex. So let's finish looking through his career, and then we'll go back and actually start doing some research about Huge Games. This is basically my thought process and what I did earlier and why I posted on Blue Sky what I did. So next he went to Pixton Games. He started in March here and continued until October 2023. This was his full-time job, but you can see here he's listed as an advisor. So shortly after working in Huge Games, he became an advisor for Pixton Games, which is usually like a part-time thing. It's not quite a board member, so they wouldn't be getting equity most of the time. They usually would be getting a salary or like a contractor pay of some sorts. So because he was working at Pixton at the same time he's working at Huge Games, and he's currently an advisor for Pixton, this is something else we want to look up, okay? So we can't really see anything here. It just says worked with a team of free-to-play veterans building exceptional real-time multiplayer games and democratizing competitive mobile game. Democratizing in the sense of video gaming, my brain immediately has a red flag, but you may not see what I see right now. We'll get into that in a minute. But worked at Jagex, went to VC, left VC, went to Huge Games, worked at Huge Games for almost 5 years, and while simultaneously being an investor at Pixton Games, which he is currently an advisor at. The next thing that's interesting, cohort, that's an angel investor and an advisor, so he just took some of his own money into this company. Nothing really to see here, I would say. Angel investor in Stealth. This might be a startup like innovator group in Israel. I couldn't find too much information about this, but I don't think that's too important. Just spending his money to develop companies, totally normal, especially at a high-level executive, especially after working in VC. Nothing really to see here. Maximilian worked as an advisor, currently working as an advisor there, but I couldn't really find too much information about Maximilian because that name is just too generic. Even though this seems really cool, it's great for a resume, it's hard to verify. Not saying it's not true. We're just not going to spend time more talking about this. The next two things I want to talk about are the last two things on his resume. In July 2023, he started working as an advisor for CVC, and he currently does that. In October, the most recent thing, he became a board member at Jagex, which he currently does. Meaning, before he was put in a CEO position at Jagex, he was already in a board member position, and we'll get into that. But first off, let's go all the way back and look at Huge Gaming, okay? So what was the biggest part of his career? What company did he spend the majority of his time working for, raising money for, and helping grow? What games did they develop? Open up a new tab. Let's just throw this in here. Huge Games, play together. All right. Huge. Interesting. Play together. Huge is a global game developer and publisher on a mission to build the world's most social, real-time, free-to-play, more mobile gaming platform. Okay, but what games? What games? Huge Casino, Billionaire Casino. Let's play together. We are huge. So he spent almost 5 years working for a game company, raising money for a game company that makes online casino games, which, let's not talk about the legal gray area that online gambling exists in. We don't know what the microtransaction or if this converts back to real money. This could be completely legal, okay? More than likely is completely legal. But it's not a good sign when a CEO of a game that you love spent almost 5 years raising money for games that evolve around gambling. All right, talked about Huge Gaming. Let's see what the next name of that company was. Oh, Pixton Games. All right, let's look up at Pixton Games. You can probably guess where this is going. Pixton Games, okay? Building play to own for everyone. I thought they said free to play on his resume, not play to own, okay? Competitive multiplayer games should be accessible and fun. With blockchain, we add value in competition and give governance to our communities. This is a blockchain game. At the same time, he was raising money for a game company that develops online casino games. He was also serving as an advisor to a blockchain company. That is a massive red flag. If you guys know anything about what happened to Dauntless, I'll have a video about that. It's in the works. I'm waiting for the servers to be taken offline before I release that. But you know anything about what happened to Dauntless? This is terrifying. Axie Infinity, a lot of other stuff. This is terrifying. Building a new category of competitive games like blockchain games terrify me. I don't know anything about this game. It might play amazing. It might be a phenomenal game for all that I know. However, RuneScape has had a problem with microtransactions in the past. A massive problem with microtransactions in the past. Such a big problem that the most popular version of the game, for all intents and purposes, does not have microtransactions. You could argue bonds are microtransactions, and yes, they technically are. But for an overall negative microtransaction, they're pretty much not a microtransaction. Blockchain games has a potential of turning those bonds into actual coins, which involves scamming and a bunch of other crazy stuff. This just makes me fear the worst. So we're already off the deep end, fearing the worst about our new CEO raising money for casino games and being an advisor for blockchain games. Now let's think about why he is the CEO of a game that has such a negative opinion of blockchain games, okay? So he worked for Jagex. That might be why he's a CEO currently. But let's take a little closer look about this CV that he has. Does anyone know what CVC is? Granted, he started working as an advisor in July of 2023 and currently works as an advisor, with nothing specified as to what he does, okay? He just advises CVC. Anybody know what CVC is? Carlyle agrees to sell Jagex to CVC Capital Partners and Carlyle Investments. February 24. He was on the advisory board of CVC Partners July of 23, previous to their purchase of Jagex, meaning there is a potential he advised CVC to buy Jagex. Why is that bad? Why is that good? Okay, so if we go back to the announcement page where he took over, let's see. Okay. Let's not forget the buzz last year about the potential $1 billion buyout and chatter that had us all expecting new owners and new directions. Last year would have been 24, right? So after this Carlyle Group purchase or sell to CVC, there was news of another purchase of Jagex that fell through. So CVC probably bought Jagex from Carlyle, expecting to flip it to another company, did not sell it to the other company, and now still holds that company as an investment on their books, okay? He just was put into the CEO position, this new dude. But what happened last October? he was put into an advisory role into Jagex. So less than a year after CVC bought Jagex, one of their advisors was put on the board of Jagex, and then a couple months later was named as the CEO of Jagex. If that doesn't scream an investment group is trying to recoup their investments by putting a known member, a known advisor, as a high-level ranking player in the company to be able to make changes at the company to funnel money back to the investment firms. I don't know what else screams that. That is my hypothesis about how he got to where he is now. He has a great CV. He definitely is CEO level material for a lot of companies, especially gaming companies. But is he a CEO level experience for a legacy gaming company that has nothing to do with gambling and blockchains, when for the most part, his career revolved around gambling and blockchain games? This is scary. This is terrifying. And this makes me question the future of the company. If Jagex starts introducing more monetization, they have a massive potential to just kill the game as we know it. And if they introduce cryptocurrencies, which former JMods wanted to do in the past, and were unsuccessful in convincing the company to do, if they introduce these cryptocurrencies, they have a lot of stuff at stake. The issue with cryptocurrencies is it's entirely separate from your video game. And as Axie Infinity shows, a malicious third party can just wipe out the liquidity and make all of the players lose their money. And that has nothing to do with my general opinions of cryptocurrency as a whole. That is just proof that cryptocurrency in gaming is extremely dangerous. So will RuneScape have cryptocurrencies and microtransactions expanding in the future? We don't know. It is too early to tell. But is the new CEO of Jagex heavily involved in gambling and blockchain games? Absolutely. Were they on the advisory team of the venture capitalists that purchased Jagex? Absolutely. Were they in that advisory role prior to being on the board of Jagex? Absolutely. We know that. So this is just a quick little bit of a rundown to just make you guys think more about every update Jagex is trying to push out. Don't let them get away with ruining the game we love. OSRS is around because we wanted them to make it happen. And if we don't want to play it anymore, they will die. So let's let them know our thoughts. And let's try to keep the game we love and care so much about in a healthy stance. At Jagex, if you are listening to this and you actually listen to this whole video, A, I'm impressed by how much you actually care about your game, listening to this criticism all the way through. And B, please, please, please do not ruin what I love. All right, guys, no shout outs in this. Just love yourself, love everyone else, and I'll see you in the next one.